Did you know when you look at the price of a stock on Google or on Yahoo, you're not seeing the full picture? If you want to be a smart dividend investor, then you need to understand what I'm about to tell you. As an example, we're going to refer to Altria, which is a company that I absolutely despise and hate, but I invest in it because it always finds a way to keep going up and it's a winner in the stock market. Anyways, when we look at their past 20 years on Google Finance, it says that the total return is roughly about 370% from September 10th of 2004 to September 4th of 2024. That's a pretty respectable gain in that time period. However, when we look on finance charts, I know it's not exactly the exact same dates, but it's roughly the same time period, right? September 6th, 2004 to September 4th of 2024, exact same time period, 20 years, the total gain is 2,449%. Why the heck is there such a difference? But check this out. Back in 2017, when Altria reached their high of about $75 a share in June. But when we look at MacroTrend on June 2017, it says that the stock price for Altria was $45.96 a share. So what's going on? Why are there different prices across the board and on different platforms? If you are looking at a company's stock price on Google Finance, your Robinhood app, or even Yahoo Finance, what you are seeing is the unadjusted stock price. However, if you are looking at the stock price on MacroTrends, FinanceCharts, or some other brokerage app, then you're seeing the adjusted stock price. Let me elaborate on what that is. The adjusted stock price takes into account dividends paid out, stock splits, spin-offs like when 3M gave birth to Solvitum, their healthcare line of business, share buybacks, and any mergers and acquisitions that happened throughout the years. And if you're hungry for more information, the Nasdaq provides a clear, detailed explanation on how they do the calculations to reach an adjusted stock price. I'm going to go ahead and leave that link down below in the description. Speaking of Nasdaq, about a year ago, I called it right with Nasdaq being a cheaper alternative to the S&P Global. Not to toot my own horn too loud, but I'm in the green by a lot from that stock analysis. Nasdaq was such a hidden gem and undervalued at the time. I'm so happy that I actually invested into it. But anyways, now let's go through an example for an adjusted stock price. Let's go ahead and assume that you buy into the cheese company stock when it's trading for about $50 a share, and they have a 5% dividend yield, which means the annual payout is $2.50 per share. And let's go ahead and also assume that it grows at a rate of 8% a year. And unfortunately for you, when you decide to buy into the cheese company, you ran into bad timing because the stock price drops to $45 a share and trades flat for 6 years because it's going through a struggle with people boycotting cheese. And that happened because some half-naked TikTok influencer made bold claims that the consumption of cheese makes your armpits smellier. And if you're wondering whether or not that's true, no, that is absolutely false. So in 2018, when you buy into it, it's $50 a share, and then it trades flat, roughly throughout the year, it might go up by a few dollars and go down by a few dollars, but it ends the year at $45 a share in 2019, 2020, 2021. You fast forward to right here, it finally ends up being $50 a share in 2024. And what you see right here is the annual dividend payout that grows at a rate of 8% year over year. And when it's all said and done, you get about $22 in dividends. So on surface value, the total return for 2018 to this year would have been flat, $50 to $50 or 0% change. But because the company paid a growing dividend during that time period, you are actually in the green. And that's what the adjusted stock price tries to reflect. Call me crazy, but because of the dividends, it's as if your initial $50 into the company became $72, which is a 44% increase and total return. And that's why, as a dividend growth investor, I prefer the adjusted stock price over the simple traditional share price history, the unadjusted stock price. Because with the adjusted stock price, you see the full picture. Kind of like how in the back of your head, you need glasses, but you don't want to get your eyes checked out because you're scared of hearing the truth. But then your wife nags you again and again to go see the optometrist, and then you go and you realize after your appointment and your consultation that you really did need a pair of glasses. And once you put them on, you realize how much more vivid the world really is after wearing a pair of glasses. By the way, this is me. I might need to get glasses in the next year or so, and I'm really scared about it. And so when we think about the Altria example from earlier, when their stock dropped by about 25% in 2017, their juicy dividend cushioned the severity of the decrease in the stock price. And not only that, Altria is a company that does share buybacks almost every single year, which also helped their adjusted stock price. And that's why I decided to do a deep dive video on DIVB, which is a dividend ETF that focuses on companies that pay a dividend and do share buybacks. I think share buybacks are fantastic and awesome for investors like you and me. Maybe not so if you're an employee of that company and your annual raise was denied on the basis of the company not having enough cash, which is almost always a lie. But as an investor, it's quite nice. And a fair warning, if you decide to watch that video that I made about DIVB right here, it has nasty jokes and a sick sense of humor. So you might want to just skip over those parts because the video itself, the content, is pretty good. And while we're on that topic, I wanted to apologize to you. Yes, to you. And that's because my personal life outside of YouTube has been going really well, and I'm physically healthy. And since my life feels like it's on the up and up, I've been feeling an overabundance of happiness as of recently. And so I'm saying sorry because I know I crossed the line and I was a little too much with my jokes. And which is sad because when I was younger, I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. I was always making jokes and writing lines for my act. But when it came time to becoming an adult, I took the safer road, right? And I became a corporate guy that moved up the ranks. But that's neither here or there. You got to wait for the life story video that's dropping after we hit 5,000 subscribers. So my promise to you is this. I'm going to dial it back a bit and keep the humor kosher going forward. So what you see on your screen right now is a poll where you guys voted to tell me how you feel. And apparently 82% of you like what you see and hear. On the other hand, 13% of you are watching my back and saying like, hey, you might want to pause and reflect and try to tone it down a bit because you're going to lose potential viewers going forward. And then of course, 5% of you are only here for the fries. So taking your feedback into consideration, I think a middle ground is going to be for the best. I'm still going to be silly in my videos, but not too wild. Remember, the name of the game is to be kosher, to keep it PG. Kind of like how if your doctor recommends that you incorporate more fruits and veggies into your diet because of your declining health and you settle for french fries in the first week, we all gotta start somewhere. I'm not judging you. And here's a fun fact that may or may not be true. So when we think about history, whenever someone pledges loyalty to an aristocrat or to a king, they usually kiss their ring or kiss their feet, right? To show that they're beneath them and that they don't mind the smell of feet. But in ancient times, in Ireland, apparently Irish kings used to have their subjects suck on their nipples as a way to show their allegiance. And when I found out about this history fact, I nearly spat out my green tea. I was laughing so hard because you know how I am with nipples. It's my funny button. Just the idea of having negotiations and conversations end with people kissing the nipples of a king is just, it's hilarious. I don't know, I'm immature. So I guess going forward, I'm gonna associate Ireland with their amazing Guinness beer, Conor McGregor the leprechaun, and now I'm gonna think about the people in the royal court sucking on the king's nipples. On a side note, if anyone out here has watched the new Lord of the Rings TV show series, please let me know if it's worth the watch, because I heard it's apparently pretty good, but the diehard fans of the Tolkien universe hate it. So my understanding of the Rings of Power is that there's polarized opinions about the show, so I don't know what to do. And I know this video is about the adjusted stock price, but can we take a moment to relish the fact that dividends are amazing? Because think about it. When a stock does its thing and goes up or down in the day-to-day or week-to-week, as a dividend investor, it doesn't matter because I still get that scheduled dividend on time every 3 months or every month, depending on the investment. It's scheduled like that sudden urge to go number 2 when I'm 5 miles in my morning jog. It happens every single time without a doubt. And before a wise guy with big nipples wants to comment on this video and say that, oh, but you know, dividends aren't guaranteed, the facts speak for themselves. When we think about a high quality dividend compounder with cheese, they almost never cut their dividends. The companies that don't have an economic moat, bad finances, declining growth, sure, they cut their dividends. But in the past 27 years, what you see on your screen right now, according to a study done by McKinsey, 71% of dividend stocks maintained their dividends through the good and the bad times. That's over 870 companies in the past 27 years. And when I say that, I'm referring to dividend compounders with cheese. Those 870 companies, most of them probably fall under this category, right? Companies that are here today and here tomorrow. There's no speculation around their business model, their revenue is predictable, their dividends are reliable, and they compound your money over time. So before you think of the outliers like AT&T, Intel, and even Ford as being the norm of cutting their dividend, those are not the companies that I'm visualizing when I think of dividend compounders. Likewise, when I close my eyes and think about dinner after a long day at work, I'm not going to picture a PB&J sandwich. Unless, of course, I'm divorced and living in a condo, then I guess that's a reality. But for the most part, high quality dividend compounders with cheese do not cut their dividends. It's almost guaranteed. And before I close out the video, I wanted to share this article that I stumbled upon on the Wall Street Journal. It says the US accuses Russia of spending millions of dollars to influence the American voters. Vladimir Putin's inner circle has been directly involved in covert propaganda efforts, the Justice Department says. And as we scroll down right here, it says the influence campaign is trying to help the Republican nominee to reclaim the White House. And as we look at this paragraph right here, it says when we look at the US news sites, they are in fact filled with Russian propaganda. And I'm going to say this right now. No matter where you look, whether it's on TikTok, YouTube, or even on Instagram, there's so many bots everywhere. But it's so easy to know who a bot is just based on their profile picture. If it's a young, attractive female, and with her cleavage taking up 90% of the photo, and she has a very generic name like Ashley or Wendy, then it's safe to say that it's most likely an AI bot. And even on my own YouTube comments section, I noticed that there's bots commenting here and there. Every so often, I have to delete those comments. So I guess a word of caution is be safe out here, folks. Please use your intuition and trust your gut feeling. If it looks like a bot, it's most likely a bot. And sometimes you won't even know that you're arguing and going back and forth with a bot on the comment sections. Just be careful, save your energy. More often than not, it's either a troll or a bot. All that to say, I think dividends are amazing because as you weather out the storm, if a stock is going through a rough patch, getting those dividends as you patiently wait to break even is tremendous for the psychology of investing. And then once the stock price breaks even and goes up in the green, then you'll be even happier. But I don't want to sound too negative because in most cases, when I buy into a stock, it doesn't magically go into the red for years on end and then my only hope is the dividends. Because when I buy into a company, they tend to be undervalued and bounce back from their 52-week lows, and I'm pretty happy from the get-go. And when I say get-go, it's usually around a month or two. And on the other hand, if I invested into a growth company that does not pay a dividend, that means my total return is contingent upon the share price going up. And if they're in the red and the economy is doing bad, then I would be upset because as the growth stock trades up or down or trades flat, there's going to be nothing to show for it. Like with the cheese company example, if I bought into this company in 2018 for $50 a share and it trades flat for a handful amount of years and then eventually becomes $50 a share, at the end of that, I broke even without getting anything in between the years. But with dividends, look, I got $22 in between when it was doing its funky dance in the stock market. But anyways, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. So with that said, next, you should go ahead and watch my arguments for why I prefer dividend investing over any other style and methodology in the stock market. I'll go ahead and link those videos in the description and in the pinned comment. And if no one has told you this today, then you're going to hear it from me. I'm so freaking proud of you for doing the right things in life and taking care of your family and yourself. Even when it's hard to do and it's tough to do, you still do the right thing every time. Even when you feel like giving up and taking the easy way out, you don't. You keep going. You do the right thing. So for that, I'm going to tell you right now, good job, my friend.